I have for you projects that are quick and easy using all Dollar Tree. This is the children's Easter egg that is wooden and the 5 Easter egg ornaments. I'm adding 2 coats of the Waverly chalk paint, and you'll need a set of the vinyl letters. We're going to steal the stake from off of the yard stake from the Dollar Tree Easter Bunny sign, and it will just pop loose. Take the bow off and set it aside. We're going to use it later. Now, once you got that stake broke loose, set the little bunny aside. I'll use it for another project at another time. The idea here is we are going to establish these onto that stake. So paint the stake black, and you'll want to do the letters A, T, and R first of your vinyl letters because they are sitting inward, and we want to make sure they're not covered up. So depending on what letters you use will determine which ones to set. Now I've added the S and the E, and because I need a large E, just one, I decided to take a pencil and sketch it out to match the smaller vinyl E letter. And just take your time and mimic. You can eyeball it, or if you have a Brother Scan and Cut or one of your vinyl cut machines, you could just size your letter and cut it out. I took my black paint marker and, of course, painted in the pencil letter that I drew onto this. We are not finished with this sign, so I want you to stay tuned because it does go through some changes, and I want you to see how I ended up masking the little holes above each letter and how I went about establishing this onto that wooden stake. Unfortunately, I did not make mine out of 1x4s like I wanted to go outside. So go ahead and glue your letter E and S. That will hold the A, T, and R together. Once you have those lined up, use a ruler like I did, and then gently slide the larger E out from under and glue it into place. So grab you a couple of ice cream sticks and your heavy-duty snips. This is how I went about. Instead of using Jenga blocks, which were too large, I decided to take ice cream sticks, 2 of them, and I cut them to size to fit behind the letters. I glued them to stack on top of each other. Because I knew it would show a little bit, I did have to paint them black. As you'll see here, I'm showing you where I ended up placing those. And then I began to set the glue into place on the frontal part of those wood stacks. Once you glue it there, give it a moment, and then switch it around and put glue insurance on the back. Now, I wanted those Easter ears, bunny ears on my Easter sign. So I took burlap. You could use fabric if you wanted to. Make sure they're kind of oval shaped. You're going to need to cut 4 of these. And this is going to cleverly be behind the large E. So once you get all 4 cut out, grab you a chenille stem and cut it in half. Glue the 2 pieces over top of the chenille stem. Don't worry about gluing the chenille stem because we need it to bend. Once you get both your ears made, you can take the pink marker from out of that pack from that large wooden Easter egg and just kind of draw an oval in the center to make the bunny's little pink fur inside of his ear. Grab you a pom-pom ball, get your ears ready, and go ahead and stage them just like I did behind your large E. Now, once I've got them right where I want them, I just hold to it, flip it over, and then start gluing it into place. You'll want to raise it up in the frontal part too and glue just a little bit there. They'll give it more security, especially when you go to bending the chenille stem, because you'll be able to style these ears in about any fashion you want, straight up, sideways. Now, to cover up those holes, this is what I came out with. I took those little felt flowers they had at Dollar Tree, and I glued them over top of the ornament hole. Glued my pom-pom on the letter R to make this sign correct. And this gives this Easter decor a high-end appearance. These signs sell for around $30-something, and we made ours for a little over $2.25. I bought both these signs because I wanted those metal rabbits. I wanted one facing left, one facing right, inward. take your putty knife and gently slide them off. They will come off. I'm going to show you how we are going to mask the rabbit that is still behind once you slide off the metal bunnies. And I prefer Happy Easter versus Easter greetings. So, you guys, that's kind of a personal preference, what you want. Take the bow off of the bunnies because we're going to do something truly, truly neat with this. And you could use any kind of bow. So here we are, we're staging, and you see the little silhouette bunny in the background. We're going to mask that, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to grab us some Waverly truffle, or you could use a brown. Just put a coat over it, and then distress the rest of the board with that same color just for a tonal match. Grab you some burlap and size it up just beneath the Happy Easter. Once you've figured out how wide you need it, take your strip out and cut it. And then we are actually going to fray it. But hang on, I'm not through yet. I grabbed those foam eggs and I stole the blue from off the blue egg. I grabbed those felt flowers again, and we are going to mask everything. So I picked the blue for the little boy, and I picked the pink ribbon off that other foam Easter egg from Dollar Tree for the little girl. Now, I'm going to go ahead and glue those onto the metal bunnies. Set them aside, size up your burlap, and fray out the edges so it will have that little bit of fray on the sides, and it just makes it look very, very country decor. And very, very nice country decor Easter sign if you prefer. Glue your burlap down, and now you can go ahead and glue your little bunnies on. Grab those felt flowers, and I ended up selecting 3 of those felt flowers. I always remove the paper off of the back, and then I glue them into place. And voila, I took the bow we had off the sign, trimmed the tails, and glued it into place. We're going to use this little sign right here. I love this vintage bunny, and I'm going to try to accentuate his little hat he's popping out of. Now this sign, I love it, guys, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I love the vintage look to it. The problem is that in order to pull this off and make it look so it makes sense, because this rabbit is coming out of a hat. His hat needs to be accentuated, so I'm just going to put a light white coat on here. Use your glue gun and fill in those holes where he was tied before, unless you go back and retie it. And then take you a piece of cardboard and put that where you're wanting to outline your hat, and that'll just make things easier with the ink. And I'm actually going to rob this bow off of this sign if I can without destroying it. And I've gotten this one painted and kind of detailed out, and then I'll fix his face. But I want to put this bow in place of the painted on bow if I can. Looks like we've got success there. So these markers are the pastels that I got from Target. And this one is actually called Melon. So I'm going to try these out. I haven't ever used this brand, but they have this chiseled edge on them, which I really like. And I can tell you guys, I already like these. So just as the bunny was before, guys, I'm using that Melon paint marker, and I'm filling in his nose, his paws, and his ears. Now this technique I'm showing you here, you can actually pause or slow this down. Just take you a regular black ink bald ink pen now, and just put in some whiskers and those little paw marks, and that way it'll bring it back out, and it's not over detailed. I went around his nose, and you'll see here I'm fixing to go over his ears as well. And it just brought him right back, and I'd already took a sanding sponge and just sanded it where I wanted it. And to bring out his cheeks, guys, I took a dry paper towel and rubbed where I put paint. Now I'm going to Mod Podge it and seal all that in, because I don't want to mess up our paint job and keep him just looking just like he is. And now I'm gluing back on the springed banner as well as the little bow tie that I had robbed from off the other side. And you can use ribbon there if you like. Jumping out of the hat with the spring. And I do like his new look. And like I said, he's going to look good just sitting around with all of my decor for Easter. Hey guys, it's Elizabeth here at Dandelion Soap DIY. And I've got this little pom-pom kit from Dollar Tree. And guys, I know this is a kid's craft, but sometimes these can be a little bit of a challenge. Let me see how I fare putting these little bunnies together. Now, in one little package, these things, thank goodness, they're individually packaged. But guys, look at the parts. I mean, they got 15, 16 parts that we have got to put together. So I would recommend that you keep this little card so that you have a little guide to go by. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is put his head and his body together and then put his arms and legs on. So let's see how we do. Okay, guys, I did put the bunnies together, and it will take you a little bit of effort to do these. I did not want mine sitting up. I wanted them to be squatted down like a little bunny would be. And I did change out the parts and just make it suitable. I didn't put any back legs on them. I just put some front paws on them so that they'll sit like that. And you'll just have to look at them real careful. One of mine was missing eyes, so I only got 5 out of it, but there's 6 in a pack, so hopefully you won't be missing any little eyes. But I've got extra pom-poms for another another project. So but I'm going to try to put, I'm basically going to put a burlap cover on it. To do that, and the shortcut to that, guys, is I basically take the basket and I figure out how much I want to go under and how much I want to go inward, and then I just roll my basket into it and then just cut it. And that's the shortest cut that you can make, or that's the shortcut to making it. So I'm just going to glue this thing down and then turn it inside out. And if you don't turn it inside out, it's no big deal because it's not going to show a seam. Now what I'm going to do is slide my basket onto the inside. Now I am turning this inside outwards, or right side outwards, and I'm tucking the excess into the bottom of my basket to get it fitted. But I'm fixing to show you how to gusset the bottom of your bag. So I'm going to close up the bottom end, make sure that's cooled off so that, and you're going to kind of take that seam and you're going to fluff it out and push that seam down. Okay, now what you want to do, guys, and we're doing this backwards, but I'm going to show you how to do this if you've already closed your seam up like I have and turn it inside out. What you're going to do is take a ruler and find your 2-inch mark. There's my 2-inch mark. And you're going by this point here, this point where the seam has come together. I thought that looked awful long. So you're going to take your 2 inches, you're going to use this point, your ruler, and lay it at the 2-inch mark and draw you a line across there. Okay? And try to keep those together. Is you're going to go ahead and allow yourself at least a 1/4 to 1/2 inch, or the width of your scissors is a good measure. And you're going to cut that difference off right there. And just move that out of your way. Now take your glue gun and glue it closed. And voila, you have your gusseted bag. Let's just fold this back in case I need to use this for something else, or a different basket, or I change it out. Just make sure my front looks good. I'm going to just basically put me a styrofoam brick in there just to fill up the space. I could use plastic or anything. And I only have the natural Excelsior, so I'm going to lay that in there. It's going to be really Southern Farm kind of look. So I've put my bunnies and my Excelsior in there, guys. Now we're just going to add some carrots to our bunny basket. So I took skews and just glued them to these carrots. That way I can reuse them at another time. And I just stuck them about inside. But then I found the wooden carrot ornaments that I got from Dollar Tree. And I decided to make these like arrows for the bunny farm instead of the funny farm. So I picked out 3. I painted them orange and green with those paint markers you see right there, and took a jumbo wooden stick that I had gotten from Walmart, and I started gluing them left and right, and I had written bunny trail, Easter egg hunt, and picnic area onto them. And then that way I'd have signs for my bunny farm. I first put it in the back, but then I liked it more so in the middle. So either way, whichever you prefer, and you can see that you'll be able to see this basket from any point, no matter where you put it. It's just really cute. I love it.
Loop that it goes beyond the halfway point, and you can fold them in half just to make sure that you're going beyond the halfway point before you cut it. Fingers to, for the time being, decide how wide you want that piece to be. That looks pretty good to me, right there. And now I've got this piece, and I will take this piece and bring it around it and glue it together in the back. Bow that we made, finishing touch to the... I have been wanting to use these felt stickers, carrots. These are probably the best representation I've ever seen on felt of carrots. Last year, and I got a couple of them, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some ice cream sticks, and I'm going to attach these carrots to it and put it in this bucket. Now these carrots, guys, they have a little sticker on them, and it's pretty sticky, but I am afraid that they might come off, so I always put a dot of glue with my hot glue gun on there just to make sure that they don't come off. Just like that. I'm just staggered, or not staggered, but graduated. And I'm going to put some Excelsior in there to just fill up the difference, like they're sitting in a little carton for sale.
So using those chalk markers, I took and wrote out carrot and 15 cents with the cent symbol. And then if you want to do what I'm doing to make it look old-timey, you just take and put little dots at each point of the carrots. And then take the black paint marker and put dashes all about the sign. They'll give it that old-timey stitch look. Get crooked like it's at the market. So I took the black paint marker, just put a dot there, and glued the sign into place as well as the string above it, and then put it back on the stick. But there you go, our little market carrot stand.
Like they're at, for sale. So we got that. Now I'm going to do the famous wreath that everybody does with the Easter eggs, but I'm going to use the small ones, and we'll see how many I need. And I'm going to be cutting these in half. So now the first thing I'm doing is taking the little ribbons out, and I'm taking my case cutting knife. Make sure that blade is locked in place if you use it. And you can use a regular knife, or if you use this, just make sure you be real careful and keep that blade locked and cut these in half. That way, because you will have to go back and forth. Now what I did, guys, is I went ahead and I placed mine out. Now don't worry about the color if you plan on painting yours with a chalk paint like I am, but you do want to have them in equal, kind of equally distant apart. Okay, so you had your dozen that you cut in half and you glued them, and you want, like I said, you want to turn one way and one the other, and it will even out because there'll be 12 on the top and 12 here. And I put them alternately, like this one's in between these two around the outer edge. And I think the best way to approach this is I've got 3 colors. There's 12 on top and 12 on the sides. So that means that 4 of them are going to be blue, 4 are going to be white, and 4 are going to be pink. And that will be about here, so I'll do every other is what I'll do. And that's how they'll end up. So it might be easier for you to go ahead and do the ones that you want white and just, get them covered. You ain't got to be particular about it, because this styrofoam eggs take it real easy. Okay, so now I've got all my alternating eggs painted white, blue, and pink all about my wreath. And this will give it that really shabby chic Victorian farmhouse look. Now once this paint dries, we will proceed with gluing our moss onto the outer parts. This would also look really good with the floral green or the asparagus moss. Either one of these will look really good. For our eggs, I'm going to start putting my moss around my eggs and then glue it down. And just keep filling it in until I get it wrapped around my wreath. So just work at it the best you know how. And make sure you have plenty of glue in your glue gun. Okay, so I got my wreath covered up, guys, with the asparagus moss. And you just want to kind of trim that with your scissors. And then I'll take this and put it in a bag and use it for, another project. Mix it up. But also, I've already sprayed it. You can kind of see the white here with that adhesive spray. You can get these at Dollar Tree. It's spray glue. And what they'll do, it's better than hairspray about holding this moss on so that you don't have anything falling off or, shedding and making a mess. And it'll stay looking fresh too. Have you ever just bought a sign because you liked that sign? Well, this is one of those situations. I bought this sign because I wanted this little bunny. That's all I want. Just for Easter. And this will be very shabby chic and Victorian style. And I can actually keep this up beyond spring. So I'm thinking about maybe putting a little pipe cleaner on the back of this and sticking it into my wreath. So I still have this tool that I had gotten from Dollar Tree. And it does have this glitter to it. But what I'm going to do is basically roll this out and double it. And it's going to serve as my hanger as well as my bow.
I took some shoestring ribbon, as I call it, and I glued that to the bunny. This will allow me to be able to tie him on so that after Easter, I can take him off of the wreath. And once I tie that bow, I take a little bit of hot glue and I glue it to secure it. I love lettering, and I wanted to put that spring on there. It just looked like my little bunny rabbit was looking up. So I just glued it in 2 spots. I will remove this later on and keep my wreath up year round. If you're a new subscriber here, thank you and welcome. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I would love to have you as part of the gang. We're going to make a silhouette bunny. And this project, guys, you're going to need Mod Podge. You're going to need 1 fat quarter. And we're going to Mod Podge it onto this silhouette canvas. So I am going to actually use the bunny only to trace him out for his silhouette. So you'll need at least 1 8x10 canvas.
I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to sketch the outline of my bunny. Now my razor knife is really sharp, guys, and so be very careful when you're doing this. And I'm actually starting on the most hollow part of my canvas because that way I can get that dip really good. So that way I can kind of hold it up when I go around here.
Now taking your time and just cut your bunny out. I've got this sped up in fast motion because it is a little bit tedious, but it's so worth it. We're going to take this napkin, and you'll only need one of them, actually only one side, take the 1-ply off the back of these 2-ply napkins. Get your Mod Podge, make sure you dampen your brush, and start putting Mod Podge onto the canvas. And just make sure it's good and even, because it doesn't take a lot of Mod Podge for this napkin to take hold, because it's really, really thin. And just adjust and place your napkin on there, and then get it situated the way you want it. Now what you're going to do is cut off the difference there at the top, because I didn't want another Hello Spring upside down. And then I just started cutting out flowers and pots and the ladybugs and all the different things and situating them all about the canvas. Now once I decided on where I wanted everything, I started laying it down with the Mod Podge. It is a little time consuming, but oh my gosh, guys, it is so worth it. It's beautiful. Now you're going to cut out enough fabric to place over top of that bunny. Now you're going to put the Mod Podge on the back of the canvas, and then just start smoothing your fabric out and placing it and making sure that the canvas doesn't get rolled up under it. The idea here is to seal the canvas against your fabric.
Now the reason why I'm putting the Mod Podge on this side of the fabric is to make it good and stiff. Seal those together. And you could also use probably some ice cream sticks or something. So this bottom part where it's so close to the wood, to ensure that it doesn't shift or get baggy before it dries. Now I'm cutting this extra fabric off, guys, because that lessens the weight.
And then I took ice cream stick and I put one down at the bottom, and that will secure that fabric against the canvas and in between the wood. And then I also took and glued another one down that side edge.
Now taking me a little satin ribbon that's got bunnies on it. You can hardly tell it when it's this small. Glue that right there. As though my bunny has a little bow and a nice display.
Okay. So if you guys were looking for a front porch decor, look no further. This is your country porch Easter wreath, and we're going to make it from clothes hangers. You'll need 2 clothes hangers. You can use wire or plastic, and you'll need 4 of the zip ties. Now I'm going to show you here that you want to take and make sure that your hooks are going to the outer side and upward. You're going to zip tie right there in the center, and then the point is the most important part, so we want to zip tie there as well. Now on the sides here, you're going to take the hook and make sure you zip tie next to the bottom edge of the one hanger, and vice versa on the opposite side as well. And once you get those in place, take your needle nose pliers and clip off the different. Make sure that the hard plastic square piece is turned to the inside. We don't want that messing us up and interfering. And make sure that the wires are laying side by side and not crossed over each other. Now get your burlap, and this is the landscape burlap. You guys know I use a lot of it. So you're going to double it up and make sure that it does overlap. And just check it. You can do like I did. I first double it. Then I realized, wait a minute, let me lay my 2 clothes hangers inside and size it up. Now the point there again is what we need to pay attention to. We need to make sure that our burlap is going to go to the back, but we need it baggy in the front, because we're going to be stuffing it with plastic bags or paper or whichever you prefer. Now, once you get it situated and you've turned it to the side and you've made sure you've got enough, what's going to happen is we're going to cut that. Now I've laid it on the inside, and use your glue gun. I took wax paper to protect the surface. You want to strategically glue it. You don't have to do a large amount, but you do want to make sure that wire is touching your burlap. So this is going to make us a beautiful carrot placed on our front door. I'm calling the country porch carrot wreath, or large carrot, Easter carrot wreath. And once I've got that glued, I'm going to turn that bottom edge over and glue that as well. And this is, like I said, this is what really makes the carrot. We're only gluing one side, and then we are placing the burlap across it. And I'm using my glue gun as a tool here, guys. Reason being is when we go to stuff the plastic in there, we need it to bow outward. So if you glue the other edge, that's going to mess you up. So you only want to glue this side. And see how I'm just kind of checking that? Now I'm going to pull the difference over, and I'm checking that edge, and mine happens to have a little seam because it's landscaping burlap. Now I'm going to glue it to the back edge on the very side. And pay attention to when you go to glue this, because if you don't and you go to gluing too much, you're not going to have a bowing out there, and you won't have anywhere to place your plastic bags. But the back side is flat. And there you go. See how flat it is? And in the front, you've got this little bow out. And now take your plastic bags and start stuffing it and filling it to your content. And I'm just going to tie it up. Now, only tie it, guys. Don't go crazy, because we still have to add our carrot top and our foliage and our Easter bunny. Probably have the same as me. You'll want to at least glue that top edge over. Now it's all good and stuffed and full, and I'm just taking that difference and flipping it behind it, because when we go to place our foliage in there, it's actually going to stick down in that knot and hold it in place. And I took this Dollar Tree bunny sign with a Happy Easter, and I took the bunny head off of it, and I took one of those great big jumbo craft sticks and glued it to the back side. And once I got that in place, I then could slide it down, and I wasn't done just yet, because the weight, the heaviness of the bunny, I needed it to stay against the wire back like we did before. So I did end up taking and gluing that stick. And then I took the difference, the burlap, and I glued it right here in front as I'm showing you. And that just kind of tucked everything away and just made it really nice and neat. So if you find this sign at Dollar Tree, this Easter sign at Dollar Tree, you can definitely use all the parts and pieces. I glued those onto the front of my burlap bag. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I certainly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, well, definitely subscribe and join the greatest DIY team on YouTube, in my opinion. Now, here it is. I took it outside, hung it on the front porch. Until the next DIY, I'll be crafting, y'all. And have a happy Easter, and make your clothes hanger Easter wreath.
And we are going to rework this tree. I have been wanting to do the Easter egg tree. And this, if you'll remember from Christmas, was the funnels from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to take this ribbon off and use it for another project. And that way I can use these funnels. So I'm going to use paper towel, cardboard, and a magic marker. And I'm actually going to use some hot glue. And I'm going to build this out to where it's as broad as this. You just want to make sure that you unroll it and pull it apart so that you can easily work it in between your eggs and fill in the spaces. Bit of interest to our Easter tree. I want to darken this, and I also want to almost make it look like a grapevine is wrapped around it. So I'm going to show you how to make this. Basically, you can use either the creepy cloth from Halloween, or you can use gauze, or you can use cheesecloth, either one. I'm going to leave mine this white color because I'm actually going to show you a technique of darkening up your moss on your tree. So you just take and put just a small amount of Mod Podge. You won't need much because there's very little of this gauze. And so I'm just going to make me a little bit of solution here. As I said, you won't need much. Okay, just set that aside and let it dry. And now the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of truffle and one of my empty Mod Podge bottles here, because what we're going to do is we're going to water this down. I'm going to use the sprayer from off my adhesive spray that came from Dollar Tree, because this sprayer will fit the Mod Podge bottle perfectly. Make sure it's good and shook up. And then what we're going to do, this method, is we are spraying that color onto this moss to deepen it, to make it a little darker. If it gets on the eggs, don't worry about it. Just have you a paper towel handy. Wipe that extra off of there. So now we should add some flowers and berries. Top off our little Easter tree. think he looks handsome up there. Okay, now I've cut me a piece of cardboard and I am going to fasten it to the bottoms. We have this St. Patty's Day hat, and I have been saving this, and today is St. Patrick's Day, but I've been wanting to make me a bunny top hat. As you guys know, if you follow me, I love top hats, and I have this thing for them. But if you'll look around, you'll find the beginning, and you can just take this off. Now the nibs on the side of the brim and right here around the top, we want to take those off, and I'm actually using a pair of scissors. Okay, now I got this white burlap at Walmart, and this is in the floral department, so you should find it pretty easy. It's fairly easy to come by, sufficient to go around this. You could use fabric or anything around this, so I'll probably have to go around this twice. This upper part I'm actually going to use as a flower frog, and I'm going to be using that as my grid line and put a floral arrangement in it. So all I'm worried about is the outer perimeter. Right here on the side, guys, where I've cut it to allow it, you want to cut to where that slit's there, and then you get a whole piece. So your slit's going to be in between, that way it doesn't show up. And so starting here, I'm going to roll that under and glue it to the underside. They'll take care of that. So I decided to go with the burlap because I'll use this all the time. I'm going to make, I call it a messy button bow, so to speak. But I also know that I'm going to be putting a floral arrangement in this. So you want to make these kind of odd pieces of ribbon to give it a little more interest. Don't want to cut it all the way, but just so this is loose. So we have our floral arrangement done, and I think she would look good from about any angle you want to put her. There we go. We have our little Easter top hat arrangement in miniature style. I think she looks quite well. Hope you guys. Here is select our photograph that we wish to print, and once we've selected that, we will use our printer options as you would any other time. So we want to make sure that we get it the size that we want and that we print it, and we're going to be sending this to on my inkjet printer. I've already got it set up. Here I have my options to where I can change it to different sizes, and I have already printed it and tested it at a 8x10 size. You will be able to resize this particular print, but you'll just otherwise use your options for your regular printer. I'm going to be printing mine on letter size, so I just want to make sure that the fabric I select is at least letter size when it goes into the printer. This product is Terial Magic, and as you can see, Expand your creativity with fabric. What this is a liquid fabric stabilizer. When you order the bottle, it comes with a sprayer. And what we're going to do is saturate this fabric. This is an 8x10 piece of fabric because I am going to be printing this on my inkjet printer. And we are going to print our Lupin, which is French for leaping bunny, rabbit, or male rabbit, and male leaper, onto this fabric. And this is going to be the stabilizer. You are going to love it, and it really is magic. So you're going to need an 8x10 piece of fabric, or if you're using your cutting machine, you know, whichever size you like. You're going to need a bowl, and then we are going to be placing this nozzle into the bottle. You don't have to shake it, but you are welcome to if you like. Now, when you get this nozzle, you'll have to trim off the stem to fit into your bottle, and it's just pretty standard. Now, you're going to get a bowl, and the reason for it is you want to fully saturate the fabric, and it's just a way to capture it. And this whole bottle will do about 4 to 5 yards of fabric. Mainly make sure that it's fully saturated, and we're going to let this air dry for about 10 minutes. You can do 10 to 15. The instructions for all this is on the bottle, so no worries there, no fear. And just work and make sure that it's saturated into the fabric. I don't waste a drop because the fabric will take it up. These threads, we will make sure that we trim those off. So next thing you want to do is get your iron set, because we're going to let this dry for about 10 minutes. Just a little bit, and that just allows the Terial magic to fully saturate and fill in that fabric real good. And we're going to iron it while it's damp. And the instructions tell you that. If it happens to dry, just take you a water bottle and mist it before using your iron on it. Alright, as you can see, I've got mine on cotton because I have a piece of muslin. And it's still damp. That's what we want. And you can use wax paper if you want to. It's not necessary. It will not clog or, you know, cause damage to your iron. And you can use steam or non-steam. And we are just basically ironing it too. It's not necessary. And here we are, flat as a flitter. It's all ironed out and it's firm and stiff. If you wanted it even stiffer, you could really, truly, but this is just fine. And this will literally go right through the printer, just like paper. Hey there, you. This is Elizabeth here on the Dandy Soap DIY channel, and we are using magic today. That's right, Terial Magic. This is a phenomenal product. It is a liquid stiffener and liquid stabilizer. It says it right on the bottle. There is no other product like it on the market. But I have to give you a disclosure. If you are printing a picture for profit, if you're making products for profit, do make sure that you get permission from the original owner of that photograph and that you let them know your intentions. However, if you are using it for your personal use, for your farmhouse, as long as it's for personal use. Now, this makes a great gift. It'd be wonderful to take a favorite photograph and print it onto fabric and make it into wall art or home decor of your liking. You can print this on inkjet printer, laser printer. Any of your cutting machines can draw on that fabric and be used effectively. Here's what to remember. It will not harm the machines, but it's important to cut it to size. So if it's an 8x10 or legal size paper, or on your cutting machines, you know, 12 inches wide, and you can draw it. Now for the ink, if you are using the drawing aspect part of your cutting machine or any of your inkjet printer or laser printer, make sure to heat set it and follow the manufacturer's instructions. You will see in this video that we heat set ours. It is non-toxic, and bugs will not eat it. You can leave it in the fabric inevitably, and if you wish to and wash it out, the fabric goes right back to its natural state and is just as soft and supple. Or you can make them in advance so that you can print things. It will go safely through the machines. This product was developed by Terry of Terial Art, and you will find her channel right here on YouTube. You can type in Terial Magic or Terial Art and you will find her. She was a housewife and mother and just simply could not find a fabric stiffener or a starch that worked effectively for her to do her fabric art. And so the Terial Magic has allowed for embroidery stabilizer. You can paint directly on fabric without even having to worry about conditioning the fabric with some type of stabilizer. Use the affiliate link in the description box for Terial Magic. It will take you to Amazon and you'll be able to purchase it there. I also have the best press starch that I use. Link in the description box down below. And for the Lupin photograph that we are using, you can use it for your personal use. You will find the link down below. When you get over to my blog, right click the photograph, download it, save it, use it at a later date. It will remain there as long as this video is running. So we are off to the printer. As you can see, I'm going to place it into the printer just like you do your paper, and lined up there because it'll slide on into the machine if I let it. And now let's go to the computer. And I do have the selection of full page, but I think I'm going to do 8 by 10 because I want to be able to fray it on the sides. So we're going to hit print here. And voila! We have our Lupin printed on fabric. So let's go back to the iron. Since we have this printed, I want to heat set it. And you need to leave it on there at least 30 seconds. And even though this came out on an inkjet printer, and you really don't have to do this extra step, but I do because I want to make sure that that print stays in that fabric. I can use it for anything I want. I can make toss pillows, I can make a gift, I can frame it, I can do anything I want with it. I can wash it and keep it, and this makes a beautiful gift. And as you can see, the colors are just the same as if it were printed on a sheet of paper. And of course the butterfly that is resting on its little nose and giving it kisses. Now these strings, you can fray them if you want to, or you can take and add embellishments. You could make it into a pillow. So it's ready to go, and you could wash it. You can, I mean, even if you crumble it with your hand, it will just bounce right back out, and it's not going to hurt it a bit. It is fabric. It is just great. And as you didn't hear no crinkle or crisp. And then I can take my iron and just iron back over it. It is the coolest stuff ever. We have it already. I have frayed it out, and I actually sprayed some of my best press starch on it, and now you can really see the carrot, and you can see the little cabbage that was in the background. So I have brought my print in here to the crafting room. I have a canvas here. This is one of the larger ones. This is the 11 by 13. And it is painted like a nut hatch brown. Now guys, believe it or not, just as a temporary stay until I get my white mat, I have taken an 8 by 10 sheet of paper. I've taped to the canvas, and now I'm going to take my print and I am going to tape it to the paper. So I have 4 pieces of tape there. So there you go. We have our beautiful framed piece of art. Get creative. Make you some beautiful wall art pieces with your Terial Magic. Remember, the link is in the description box down below. Your thumbs up. Okay, guys. Now, I've given you all the information. So, if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comment boxes down below. I will reply as soon as possible. If you like this video, thumbs up. And if you are not a subscriber of my channel and you enjoy these type of things and love finding all kinds of inspiration we can get into, well, hit the subscribe word, become part of my DIY team. Well, you know how I always say it. Till the next DIY, well, I'll be crafting y'all. On this spinning sign we're going to use the brain teaser blocks. It's the 3D puzzle, and this is at Dollar Tree. And what's really cool is this comes apart just like this, and it has a thread in it. We're going to clip that thread. Now once you've clipped that cord, you can see the hole that ran through there. So some of these are going to have a hole in them already. So I ended up with 6 that do have the hole drilled right through the center. Just slide these onto my skew. I'm going to paint these blocks, and I'm going to drill a hole and asphyxiate that, and I'm going to glue these little chunks together because I want mine to rise up. So I begin sizing everything up and glue my 3 pieces together and put my skew there. Before I paint it and get everything ready, I wanted to make sure of how long I want my dowel to be. So I'm going to clip that off. As you can see, it only took about half a skew to make, and I have a lot of difference left over at the top. Okay, so using my paint marker, I'm writing spring. So on the 6 blocks, I put spring, autumn, summer, and winter. And I did complete the letters on each one of the blocks, even though some of them are duplicated. But what a fun project this was, and it turned out lovely. And I cut off the difference, so I'm going to go ahead and put my letters back on. So now we have our spring. We can put our wooden dowel atop. That's just to keep it from... Now we have our spring. We have our autumn. We have our summer. And we have our winter. Let's paint us a bunny sign that is going to be easy and fun. So I'm using the Beware sign because I like this little cutouts on the side. It makes it look old-fashioned. And I put masking tape on there because I might use this later on. And I'm going to flip it over and paint this side. You may want to do like a brown, maybe even a black or gray, whichever you like for your background on this particular bunny. Now that I've painted my board and the elephant, we're going to take our black magic marker and just lay our ruler there and make it like slats. And try not to be perfect on these. Just try to make them the shadow thereof. We want it to look old-timey. So I'm only going to go 2 over because the bunny's going to be coming over here and all that will be covered on this side. Now I will do a partial line up here at the top, not going quite halfway down. Now to make my bunny's head, I'm going to use one of the spools. This is about 3.5 inches, and I'm just going to do this for the circle effect. And I am using like a chalk pencil. And for his ears, I'm going to use the ruler again, and I want to stay away from the very top. I don't want it to be quite up there. And I'm just going to draw me a line there. We know his ears aren't straight, but just so we know where they're at. And we're meeting it right here where the other one is. We're just going to kind of slightly angle. Pretty close to that line, but not just right. And that's just going to give me a variation. Okay, small mark there. Now, for his body down here, we've got his head. We need his shoulder to be slightly broader. And you don't have to be perfect, but kind of sketch it out. We're just angling his little body, make him a little bit chunkier there. Okay, now up here at the ear, we're going to round it. And then this is going to be coming straight upward, just like that. Alright, so here on the ear, let's make this ear come up like this, and maybe bring this around and inward, not completely straight. On this ear, this is looking pretty good. Let's kind of bring this around like so. Then bring this angle into it. Let's try to round that upward like so. And we're going to bring this around just like that. Okay. Okay, so in correction, we've got our round circle. That'll give us our placement. And we've got our body. So go right here at the ear. Come way out. And then inward. Below where we made that original mark. Then bring this outward. And that should get our bunny looking a little bit better. And then these are just chalk marks. The paint will cover those up, but these on the outside, need to make sure we get those off. One thing to bear in mind when you are painting your bunny, you do not have to be plaster perfect on your paint. Just get it in that area, because that gray that I used is going to help with my shading. If you do a brown, then you may want that brown to bleed through as well. Okay, now it's time to put some detail on our bunny. And I'm just going to take my black magic marker and just kind of go around the edges a little bit. Don't do them too hard, just kind of brush at them with your marker. We're going to do his eyes right here where this is bowing out a little bit. And we're going to put those two fingers close to each other. So we want to make one, make the other one. And then we want to do his nose. So I'm going to use my chalk marker for his nose. And for his mouth, let's come down. And we want him to be smiling. So we're going to make his smile go up towards his eyes. I'm going to put him a bow here. So let's give him some whiskers. Now he looks so clean, I'm going to use a dirty brush. And I'm going to just kind of briefly go through there. And just kind of dirty him up a little bit. He just looks way too clean. You can also sand this board, sand him if you wanted to, and give it a little bit of a roughen up. Okay, for his eyes, I'm just taking a little bit of white paint on a skewer, and I'm just going to barely touch. Okay, that takes care of his eyes. Now we need a bow. Okay, for the tail, we're just going to go, I don't know, a couple of inches past his neck there. And this has a wire in it, so I'm going to twist it a couple of times. Right there, unless you want it to have longer tails. Okay, we have our bow on our bunny. Now it's time to sign and date it. Alright, I have this little sign that I have gotten from Dollar Tree. And what we're going to do, I'm actually going to leave this frame green as far as I know. I'm just going to leave it just like it is. However, I'm going to take this piece of burlap and I'm going to cut a carrot out of it. And I just need a small amount. So, I take and go right here and just round off the top of the carrot per se and come back in, and I want this to fit my frame, so whichever frame you select, that's what you want. And I want that carrot to fit right there. Now you can make it perfect if you want to, but I'm going to paint this carrot orange. I know my palette is messy, but this is the Waverly chalk paint that is the actual one that's called pumpkin. And it's just real easy to paint that burlap, and it will just dry super fast. Now I'm going to use some shelf paper to cover that adventure is calling. We've got our board covered with our shelf paper. I'm going to bring my carrot back up here. Some jute twine here Just some piece of rope that's left over. Want it to be the topper, so I'm actually just going to cross them right there. Okay, I'm going to pick me out a button. Now, once we have our jute twine glued down, have our bow into place and our little button, and our little carrot is perfect for display. Now we've had quite a good time. Our picture perfect burlap photographed carrot, and of course our rotating seasonal blocks that you'll be able to use year round. This is Elizabeth saying till the next DIY, well, I'll be crafting y'all. Bye.